Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And the Sharks have come up short against Ulster, losing 24 points to 21, thanks to a very late surge after the introduction of Grant Williams. Two quick tries for the Sharks to save a bit of dignity, really, in a game where they are outplayed for pretty much 75 minutes. A very impressive defensive performance for 95% of the game from Ulster before a bit of a defensive blip in the last 5 minutes. And an impressive victory for the Irish side. And the Sharks continue to be a side which just frustrates because so much quality, so much star power, and yet just not quite delivering the final product. And, you know, it sounds harsh for a team that lost by 3 points, but if we're looking at the match, you know, take away the last two tries and they were well beaten. And I think Grant Williams came on with a bit of energy, with a bit of tempo, with a bit of directness. And I think that was what the Sharks were missing for a large portion of that game. You know, just that X factor, you know. And I think that the problem is I think there are a lot of X factor players there, but it's not quite sort of gelling in the way that maybe a Stormers is at the moment. So if we look at the game, the first point came courtesy of the boot of John Cooney. The Sharks played pretty well in the first 10 minutes, had all the opportunities, but just couldn't find any reward for it. And I thought that had they managed to score first, had they managed to get that first sort of blood, I think it could have been a whole different game because I think they had some good early momentum. But Ulster, like they did for a lot of the game, weathered a storm, and then when they got themselves into the right positions, they then found the try line. Michael Lowry went over in the 26th minute. About 5 minutes later, he made a try-saving tackle when he took down Apelele Fassi and actually injuring himself in the process and going off. Yeah, so there was the try in the 27th minute, and then at 17, at 10-0 at half time, you're still thinking the Sharks are sort of still in it. You've got to score first, and they didn't score first. Ulster scored first through a very nice try. Although I think Apelele Fassi has got to make a tackle, and I think that he had a pretty off night tonight. But, you know, you look at that McCloskey try, and Apelele Fassi, with still 10 minutes to go, went in very high and got thrown away like a sack of potatoes. And you've got to do better than that at this level. You really do. And Ntukum Kuna, they went over in the 61st minute and gave a bit of a hope for the Sharks. However, Ulster struck back 3 minutes later. There's a couple of nice handling. Maximo Mapimpi guilty of being a little bit out of position and leaving too much space on the outside. And the Hume went over. But then all of a sudden, you know, two tries in 3 minutes. Marius Lowe going over in the 75th minute, Grant Williams going in the 78th minute. Those two combining for both of those tries. Almost suddenly, you know, could it happen? Unfortunately, I mean, that by the time they had taken the kickoff towards the end, it was already over time, so it was never going to be the case. But I think the Sharks, I mean, the difference was I think the Sharks' defense wasn't up to scratch. And I think if we look at the stats and stuff like that, you know, Ulster missing almost no tackles throughout the entire game, whereas the Sharks missed quite a few tackles. And I thought that Ulster found it far too easy to breach the Sharks' line a couple of times. For example, when Billy Burns managed to find some space in between him, he sort of went strolling through the Sharks' defense. I found that at times it was far too easy for Ulster to get in between the Sharks' lines. So we look at some of the stats and stuff like that. Territory-wise, it was 69% for the Sharks. They were playing in the right areas, but Ulster defended very well. They had 56% chance possession to the Sharks. 3 tries apiece, 3 conversions apiece, 1 penalty was the difference. Sharks ran almost twice as many meters. They did defend. They did beat more defenders, but you can't win a match with a 69% tackle success rate. You know, 72 of 104 tackles. You're missing 32 of 104 tackles. It's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. And that, in many ways, was a bit of the difference. Line-out-wise, lost 2 line-outs, I think, to the Sharks. And they lost poor line-outs and conceded poor penalties at critical times. Kieran Van Vuuren came on, and the first line he had to do was a 15-meter, you know, go to the back sort of line-out, which was then skew. And it was a crucial part of the game because you score there where they made that mistake, and suddenly you're back in this game. So I just felt that the decision-making needs to improve from the Sharks as well. You know, Ulster were not faultless because if you look at that last 5 minutes and they all kind of it fell apart almost a little bit. But, you know, I do think that there is just something missing from the Sharks side. Whether it's a bit of creativity, whether it's a game plan, they just didn't seem to have any ideas to get past that Ulster defense. 2 tries probably butchered in terms of not playing that final offload, which I think makes a big difference. Discipline-wise, I think they both could see the same amount of penalties. The refereeing wasn't great. I don't think it was the best performance, but I don't think it was the we can't keep harping on about the referee every single time a team loses. Ulster were better than the Sharks, much better than the Sharks. So let's not get bogged down in an average refereeing performance, because it definitely wasn't the reason that they lost. Defensively, good to see Joanne Vermeulen getting stuck in. He won 2 turnovers, didn't miss a tackle, made 7 tackles across the day, so it was good to see him playing well. For the Sharks, I thought Thomas Toy and Ruben van Heerden tried really hard. They carried the ball up a lot. I thought the Sharks didn't really use Oxen Chair as much as they probably should have as a ball carrier, and I thought that when they started doing that in the second half, it made a big difference, because you need a bit of physicality, and they kind of lacked that at times. But credit to the Ulster defense. I mean, particularly somebody like Rob Herring, who I thought played very well. And yeah, it wasn't to be for the Sharks. It wasn't their best game, and lots to improve on. But at the end of the day, if you can play badly and lose by 3 points, it's not the worst place to be in. I think that I don't think it'll take a lot for the Sharks side to be able to switch and to become the side we all know they can be. They just need to sort out a couple of issues and stuff like that. Let me know what you thought about the game down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.